the south of England, where support for small-scale sustainable fishing is catching on.
And I'm Russell Beard in Bangkok to meet a team of innovative urban farmers turning air pollution into protein.
And I'm Amandeep Banyu in England, where a somewhat dirty source is helping clean up agriculture.
As our global population increases, so does our demand for food. The agricultural practices that we currently rely on are resource-hungry and contribute to climate change by releasing the equivalent of around 12,000 megatons of CO2 into the atmosphere every year. And now over half of us live in cities. It means the food is traveling further from the farmland than ever before. I'm Russell Beard, and I've come to Bangkok to meet a team trialling a new generation of urban superfood farms to introduce microalgae to the masses. So we've come to Soyon Nut, and we're looking for the headquarters of a new superfood startup called Energaya. I think this is it. Energaya. Pretty humble beginnings, but it is a startup after all. Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Established in 2009, Energaya's small team of chemists, engineers and microbiologists have been working with one of the oldest forms of life on the planet, Spirulina.
Here is our laboratories. This is what we call master culture rooms.
So tell us, what is it and what makes this stuff so special?
Spirulina is a single-cell plant. It's growing fast as bacteria, but it can have a photosynthesis also. So it's kind of hybrid between bacteria and plant. And one good thing about spirulina, like we can consume it because we have an enzyme in your stomach to break the digest and break the cell, and you can get all nutrition from spirulina.
Although used around the world as a niche nutritional supplement, what Energaya want to do is elevate it to the status of a superfood. And to do this, they've taken production to new heights. Like rooftops and other disused urban spaces.
Spirulina doesn't need farmland to grow on, right? And so I really didn't want to jeopardize existing food production. I wanted to be able to grow our spirulina on unusable or unused spaces, right? So you can maximize the kind of the environmental benefit from growing it. So not only is it a kind of a single cell plant that's taking carbon dioxide from the air, letting off oxygen, doing all that good stuff, right? But also what you can see here is we are using space that they were not using for anything else, and we are turning it into a very viable, high productivity farm.
This cheap, low-tech facility uses a species of spirulina bred in Energaya's lab to seed a network of interlinked barrels. With air and nutrients pumped through the system to maximize growth, these microorganisms can double their mass every 48 hours.
This module we set up a few weeks ago, and it's very mature. That's why it's dark green. You see how this one is getting lighter because the spirulina in here is going into there. By tomorrow, this will all be green.
I mean, do you look out here and just see real estate, real estate, real estate?
Yeah, we look out and we see opportunity and potential. There's so many flat concrete roofs in Bangkok that could be used for urban farming. And there's plenty of space for all of us to make a real difference on the output of the city to feed itself.
Unlike most spirulina farms around the world, which rely on large open-air ponds, Energaya utilize a closed-loop system to reduce water loss and contamination. And thanks to the microorganisms' large size, harvesting is possible using a simple mesh filter. It might not look very appealing to someone who doesn't know what they're looking at. You're telling me that this is actually a superfood.
Yeah, and I hate feeling like I have to pitch it. First and foremost, I encourage everybody to do their own research. And if you do that research, right, what you're going to find is, the World Health Organization, the Food and Agriculture Organization, the UN, NASA, they all view spirulina as a superfood.
As well as being 60 to 70% protein and full of essential fatty acids, vitamins and omega-3s, it takes just 15 liters of water to grow a kilogram of spirulina, compared to the 15,000 needed to produce the same weight of beef. Back to the lab. Although still operating largely by hand, and Agaya plans to create automated systems that can produce spirulina on a much larger scale. I love the thought of you looking back at this one day. Yeah, I remember when we used to harvest in a bucket and put it in the back seat of the truck, put the seatbelt on it.
Our spirulina child.
So if it looks like a tumble dryer, that's because it is. This is a tumble dryer, isn't it? You've modified it. Yeah.
Spirulina is considered to be kind of an ancestor for most traditional plant life, right? Going back to the original kind of forefather there is probably the healthiest way to do it if you think about it.
So is this actually available in the shops now then?
Yes.
This?
Yes.
As is. Such a fine, fine paste. It's great. It's really good. With all the nutritional benefits, spirulina has the potential to address malnutrition around the globe. But top priority is to spread the word. And Agaya's secret weapon is Novotel manager and spirulina evangelist Manuel Raymondin. He's been a big supporter of the mission and is embracing the hotel's very own rooftop farm.
It's difficult enough to present a new product. Very often people are not aware of exactly what is a spirulina, but by making it more appealing and get some creativity and some design, spirulina yogurt lime dressing.
I was trying to put my finger on the taste of the spirulina before, and it's quite minerally, and yet the lime kind of cuts through that. It's hard to do this stuff without coming across like a spirulina advert. I mean, I'm conscious of that, but what can you do? It tastes good. So this is what you're talking about, Manu. It has to look wonderful.
It has to look sexy.
I mean, we're still talking about pretty high-end food here, aren't we? I mean, it looks wonderful, but do you see a future where this is accepted into the mainstream, where people are using it on toast or, you know?
That's what we are working on. It's the first step. There will be many other ways to find spirulina into a product that will be highly consumable and accepted by the market. I'm definitely sure.
Good.
Sexy. Sexy.
Emmanuel, this looks like an absolute carnival of spirulina.
Appetizer, main course, dessert, drinks. Now our job is to make it known to the public, to every public, and a restaurant is a perfect area for that. You cut cost, you cut pollution, you cut transportation. You will not save the world, but you will improve it.
90% of the world's fish stocks are being fished at or beyond their sustainable limits. Growing demand and industrial fishing techniques are pushing some populations of cod and tuna to the brink of collapse, while millions of tons of other less marketable species are being used for fertiliser, fish food or simply discarded. I'm Sylvia Rowley in London, UK, where marine scientists are working together with local fishermen to get consumers hooked on sustainable seafood. Based in East London, a tiny start-up by the name of Soulshare is hoping to change Londoners' relationship with fish.
Bit of fish for dinner, gents. Order now or be disappointed. You choose how much fish you want, how often you want it, and come and get it from us.
Excellent.
It's a bit like a veg box, but with fish. We work with a couple of inshore fishermen. We buy their entire catch and then hand it out to our members. It's a really good way of just getting your hands on amazing fish, trying things that maybe you haven't tried before, and also supporting the guy that caught it. I used to work in conservation, so it's a bit of a strange step for me to go from saving fish to now saving fish through eating fish.
So we're just off the coast of Newhaven on the south of England. We've come to find Martin. He's one of Soulshare's main fishermen.
Hiya.
Hiya, how are you?
Sylvia here.
Yeah.
there, sneaking up on the...
That's all right, thanks.
Right, John. Right,
Right, all right. Yeah.
Right, I'll stand here.
My problem is that I can't actually really lift my legs up with these on. Martin Fuller is one of over 3,500 small-scale fishermen working in English waters. But unlike many others whose families have been in the business for generations, he only took up the trade a decade ago.
I've always been mad for fishing. I've always had a boat and I've always had time off work to go fishing. So I just thought, silly, you know, I might as well just go and do it for a living.
So what are we doing now?
We've got a fleet of nets and we're going to haul it down the tide, then we're going to run inside and stow it up.
I didn't understand any of that.
That's it.
Flag out there.
Pick that one up and we runs down to that one. So the net runs between these two flags.
Do you ever come and there's nothing in the net?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hopefully not today though. There we go. This catches the bigger fish. The other nets also catch big fish, but some of them catch a lot of small fish as well, which I try and avoid.
So you're kind of avoiding this bycatch, the fish that you're not looking for?
But sometimes you can avoid everything.
Unlike industrial bottom trawl nets, which drag along the sea floor and can kill a wide array of marine life, Martin's net stays still in the water, and the large holes means he's not undermining future fish stocks by catching lots of juveniles. Those he does accidentally net come in alive.
See, that's legal size, but it's alive and it ain't worth nothing. So that goes back. Yeah.
Nice. Oh, there we go. Okay.
Right.
Whoa. I mean, this doesn't seem to be a particularly easy way to make a living. How much more would you get, say, for a place if you sell it through Jack rather than just at the wholesaler?
Jack gives us a flat rate of £5 a kilo. So, and the wholesaler might give me, I don't know, 2 or 3 quid for the same place.
So it's quite a big difference then.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Soulshare members help keep Martin in business by giving him a good price and buying a set weight each week of whatever he brings in.
We catch soles, plaice, dabs, cod, flounders, garfish, mackerel, herrings, bass, lobsters, crabs, grey mullet, red mullet. But you ask any fishmonger what they sell the most of, it'll be salmon, cod and prawns and tuna. There'll be the 4 things that they sell more of than anything else.
And they're also some of the most kind of overfished.
Exactly, yeah. Everyone that signs up for Soulshare has got the right idea because they're prepared to accept whatever turns up and have a go at all the different species and that. Spanking fresh, people will give it a chance.
Is that a good catch? There seems to be quite a lot coming in.
That's all right, yeah. I mean, you think we better get this net back before we end up in Brighton.
Yeah. Right, so what we're putting the net back in now?
The net's going back in the water and I'll have it up again tomorrow morning.
Okay. I think this is what's missing from a lot of the way that we eat today, you know? There's such a big disconnect between what's on our plates and where it's come from.
But that's how people want it. If they didn't, they'd do something about it, wouldn't they?
Soulshare started in 2013 and now has 80 members in London who buy from Martin and a few other small-scale fishermen. From boat to icebox in a matter of minutes, the race is now on to get today's fresh catch straight up to Soulshare members in London. In the quest to keep the nation's fish stocks healthy, changing the way people consume fish is half the battle. So at the start of every new season, Jack and business partner Teresa run a workshop to help new members get to grips with their seafood.
Thanks all for coming. We're going to go through gutting, we're going to show you how to prep a fish for the oven, we're also going to show you how to fillet fish. And by the end of today, you should all be able to do that quite nicely. Lovely place, overlooked fish. This really is the bread and butter of a lot of our inshore guys. Very sustainable when caught in static gear. They breed like the clappers.
Solshare's weight-based pricing model means sometimes members pay a premium for something like mackerel, but other weeks they strike lucky with lobster or oysters at below market rates.
I'd like to try lots of different kinds of fish. I like the excitement of being like, what am I going to get in the box this week? And just going, I don't know what I'm going to do with that, and maybe read up about how to cook it and how best to cook it.
Teresa supplies everybody with a recipe for the catch of the week, and members have started sharing tips, photos and recipes online.
A lot of it about is, creating a community around fish, and as you saw today, it's a great way to bring people together.
So it's about finding people that care about where their fish come from and linking them with the kind of fishermen that care how they catch their fish.
Phosphorus is a key ingredient in fertiliser and vital for food productions around the world. And yet, according to some experts, mineable reserves of it may be completely depleted in a few hundred years. At the same time, excess phosphorus entering our rivers from sewage works and fertiliser runoff is causing huge environmental damage. I'm Amandeep Bangu in England to see how recycling an unlikely byproduct could reduce pollution and pave the way for a greener way to grow our crops. Alice Holden is an organic farmer who works at a growing communities farm in East London and is a passionate advocate of the sustainable use of phosphorus. Hi Alice, where do you want me to help out?
Okay, I'll just get a box. If you go for any of the reddest tomatoes.
The reddest ones, okay.
Yeah. For all plants, whether they're conventionally grown or organically grown, they need certain trace elements. Without phosphorus, the plants won't be healthy and they won't produce good crops.
Phosphorus is vital to plant growth and is found in every living plant cell. It's absorbed through root hairs and is involved in several key plant functions.
In terms of feeding large-scale populations, it's completely critical. How you get that phosphorus is done in lots of different ways. Our main source of phosphorus is from phosphorus mining, predominantly in North Africa, and that's a finite reserve of phosphorus. We're using up these mineral reserves that have taken billions of years to develop, but we're using them up very rapidly.
And if phosphorus levels do deplete, how big an impact will that have on agriculture and food production across the world?
Well, our yields would drop hugely. It would dramatically impact on all crop yields.
It's estimated that with our rising population and changing diets, there'll be a 70% increase in global food demand by 2050. On organic farms such as this one, phosphorus is recovered by composting animal manures and plant waste.
All of this plant waste has phosphorus within it, which once composted will be in the compost that we make, and then that in turn will go on to feed and grow new crops.
This is pretty stinky, smelly stuff. It's like a perfect summer's day and the perfect weather and conditions for this to really stew up, so yeah.
It's really grim.
So this is one solution to combating depletion of phosphorus. You're actually recycling the phosphorus that's already in the system, already in the environment, already in food sources.
Yeah.
And you'd welcome different types of solutions.
As long as the whole picture is looked at in terms of sustainability, then absolutely. I think there's lots of parts of the system where we lose phosphorus, so there's lots of parts of the system that could be addressed and tapped into.
As well as the huge concerns about our mineable reserves of phosphorus running out, there are massive environmental problems stemming from the way it's currently used in agriculture, where excess soluble fertiliser flows into our rivers and waterways, resulting in what's known as eutrophication.
Well, phosphate's a fertiliser, so it causes the increased growth of plants and algae. So when you get an algal bloom, you get massive amount of photosynthesis occurring, which causes fish and the wildlife in the rivers to be in distress, and it can actually kill them. Most of our rivers are failing for phosphate. If it's not reduced now, we'll get more fish kills as a result. Our lakes will become deoxygenated. There'll be no life left in them.
And this phosphate fertiliser runoff occurs in these lower reaches of rivers across the world?
Oh yeah, yeah, everywhere will be affected by fertilisers.
So I'm about to meet Shaz. She works for the Environment Agency as well, and she's checking the local water levels for phosphate. Hey Shaz,
Hi.
hey!
Okay, so what we're doing is taking a water sample off the river.
Just lowering it down?
And try and get a full bucket.
And how often do you conduct these tests?
Well, we do it about once a month.
It's looking really green down there. Is that a result of phosphate levels high?
Well, that's an indicator.
And this level that you're testing today will prove whether that's down to the phosphate.
Exactly, yes.
What do you reckon? Do you think that's enough?
I think so. Let's bring it up.
Let's heave it up then. Right, so that's ready to be sent off to the lab for testing. And looking at it, it looks pretty clean and clear. But lurking inside is something that's killing off wildlife in this river and rivers across the world, having a huge environmental impact. On the other side of London is a sewage plant that's trying to deal with both the shortage of phosphorus and the environmental damage that it currently causes. Based on technology developed in Canada, this is the first plant in Europe to create a brand new fertiliser out of raw sewage. It's called Crystal Green.
I have a hard hat and high-vis jacket for you.
Fantastic.
And some gloves as well if you want to touch them with a sludge cake.
The sludge cake?
Sludge cake is what we call it.
Right. I've heard of other cakes in the past. I've never heard of a sludge cake.
No, this isn't the nicest one now.
This is basically treated waste, is that what it is?
Yeah, so this has been digested, so there's no pathogens in this. In this sludge cake, there's a lot of phosphorus and nitrogen, which obviously you know are good for plants.
It doesn't actually smell at all.
No.
And it's just, you just want to kind of play with it. It's really cool in this hot summer.
It is, isn't it?
We've just been to a river and we've seen the damage that can happen from eutrophication, from the excess phosphorus in fertilisers like this.
Exactly.
And what exactly is it that you're trying to do to tackle that problem?
We're making a low solubility, high phosphorus fertiliser. So it means that we won't have the same problems with leaching and eutrophication that we currently have by applying this kind of fertiliser to land. This is where we recover our phosphorus from, all in this tank.
Wow.
Yeah. So we can go up to the top and see, we can look down inside the tank, see what's happening.
It's like a giant corkscrew.
Yeah. You can see inside here.
Wow, so what's happening in this vat?
This is the liquid that was taken out of the sludge cake that we saw before. So in this liquid, there's lots of phosphate and lots of ammonium. So we add a little bit of magnesium and we adjust the pH a little to make struvite fertiliser form. So struvite is magnesium, ammonium and phosphate mixed together, which make a really good fertiliser. Yes, this is the struvite fertiliser, and Sharif here has been doing our research on the struvite fertiliser for us.
Hi, Sharif.
Hi.
Can I have a look?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Wow. And what's the benefit of this, Sharif? You've been researching this.
Our research shows that crystal green type fertilizers tend to dissolve very slowly in the absence of roots. So when there is no roots nearby and there is water present, it dissolves very slowly compared to, say, traditional fertilizers, which breaks down and dissolves very, very quickly. Now, the obvious advantage of this from an environmental point of view is that you tend to have a much less amount of leaching into the waterways, but also some of our preliminary results show that in the presence of roots, crystal green tends to be plant activated in that roots tend to exude acids, and in the presence of acids, crystal green dissolves. So effectively, it's plant activated in a way.
With phosphorus depleting, with us polluting our river systems at the moment, this could be the future.
Yeah, the aim is to close the phosphorus loop, though, which we can achieve.
So you're actually producing soil as well?
Yeah.
As fish and
plants and food. Yeah, so you're healing the earth.
Barbados is the 4th leading nation in the world in the penetration of solar water heaters.
Now you see why this dude is so strong. You've been lifting a lot of turtles, man.